What you should know about Google Bard. So just a quick guide. So first you can just go to bardgoogle.com and sign up. So for that you need two things. You need to have Google account if you still don't have some. And second, you need to be located in United States. If you're outside of US, I don't think you will be able to access it. For sure, in some European countries it's not available, and in many countries around the world. Maybe in Canada it's available, but for sure it's in the US. Then you can just sign up and it's free, and then you can try it out. Then there is some FAQ page. You can just read it through. So here you can see that 2 years ago, Google unveiled LaMDA language model for dialogue application, a conversational AI model capable of fluid multi-turn dialogue. And last year we launched AI Test Kitchen, a new space where people could learn about, get hands-on experience with, and provide feedback on LaMDA. So there you have it. Does Bard give accurate and safe responses? Bard is experimental and some of the responses might be inaccurate, so double check the information. Google is very clear about it. Compared to OpenAI, there are a lot of legal clauses here, which you can see lawyers actually read through hundreds of times probably. I don't know, because there is a lot of stake for Google, because some of these models, of course, they are still quite inaccurate. They are, of course, it's a work in progress. But Google is trying to be very careful about the results it generates. And also famously, once they just introduced this Bard in the presentation recently, there were some mistakes about some telescope in the result, and nobody checked that, so that triggered some issues. So then another thing important for publishers: how and when does Bard cite sources in its responses? What's interesting here, it says that Bard is intended to generate original content and not replicate existing content at length. Sometimes the same content may be found, and Bard attempts to point to a popular source. In the case of citation to code repository, the citation may also reference an applicable open source license. Bard was built to be a creator, helpful collaborator. Like helping you write an email or brainstorm ideas for a birthday party. We see it as a complementary experience to Google search. That's why we added the Google It button to Bard, so people can easily move from Bard to explore information from across web. So also here you see different approaches, like in Bing and some other companies, probably they see these chats as the thing that will actually replace the whole search. Here in Google, obviously for some business reasons, they see this AI chat as a complementary experience rather. So it's not like the thing that will completely, destroy the whole Google search experience. Of course, Google just doesn't want to ruin the whole business model here. So here you can see, is Bard able to explain how it works? LLM experiences, Bard included, can hallucinate and present inaccurate information as factual. One example is that Bard often misrepresents how it works. So we have seen this occur in a number of instances. Bard responses may also occasionally claim that it uses personal information from Gmail. Can Bard help with coding? Yes, it can. However, you should use discretion and carefully test and review all the code for errors, bugs, and vulnerabilities before relying on it. Why doesn't Bard know what I said earlier? Bard's ability is purposefully limited for now. Then you see the Google's principles. How can I make Bard better? How many languages does Bard? What terms? Who has access to my Bard conversation? It says, please do not include information that can be used to identify you or others in your Bard conversation. Can you delete your data from Google account? And then there is a link to managing your data in Bard, how to manage and delete your Bard activity. You can always turn off saving your Bard activity, and you can always delete your Bard just from myactivitygoogle.com/product/Bard. So there is a separate page where, of course, you can delete all of your browsing history, all of that from myactivitygoogle.com, but then you can also just turn off BART activity. Do you use BART conversation for advertising purposes? At the moment, it says that BART conversation are not being used for advertising, and we will clearly communicate any changes. So that's that. Of course, it's only for now. Seems maybe Google will actually change it anyhow. So if we just quickly go to the BART itself, there are also some few